Hello, welcome to Thursday's COVID check-in with Jennifer Coons, one of the reference librarians at the Haverford Township Free Library. This is your May 28th COVID check-in session. So, news about COVID-19 can be full of hype, drama. There's also just a lot of it. It can be really confusing. It can be very emotional. So, I wanted to show you today a resource that is calm and clear as one can be when dealing with a subject that's rather complex and has a lot of gray areas. But I love this resource. It is called COVID Explained. And first thing you'll notice is look how calm the interface is. We have text, we have sans serif font that's easy to read. So the first thing I want to do is look at who's behind this. And I see, look at this. Instead of making me root around in the About Us somewhere in the bottom, the tiny little font, there's the two primary contributors, and I'm going to make myself smaller here so you can actually see a little better. The two primary contributors are right up here to see. You have their names, you have a very brief bio of their background. Transparency is something that I think is really important in all kinds of sources of information, regardless of the packaging it comes in, whether it's a website, a blog, something that comes to me through Instagram, through Facebook, through Twitter, even emails that come into my inbox. I want to know who's behind it. So you have the two primary contributors up here, which I love. So just for fun, because I find this kind of thing fun, I want to know more about who's behind this. I want to see if there are more people and what their deal is. So here it's saying we're a team of researchers and students at Brown, MIT, Harvard, Mass General, and elsewhere. We care about getting information out there. All right, here are the contributors. The two top ones are up here. And as you can see, there's a wide variety of disciplines represented here. We've got a combination of students, grad students, and professionals. Whoops. Okay. Going down here, we've got someone studying applied mathematics, economics, and computer science. These are the people who make those models, those mathematical models that are sort of projecting cases and or deaths in certain areas. Those are important people when it comes to epidemiology. Then you've got researchers, someone who's researching the inflammatory response to respiratory infections. That's a really big deal with COVID-19 because that's how people get really, really sick with it, when you have an overactive inflammatory response. So that's interesting. We have more mathematics, we've got immunologists, and then you have some people who are here for the web development and design support. Alrighty. And so because I'm a nerd, I probably would open up a new tab and take these people's names, Emily Oster and Galit Alter, and I'd look up more about them. I would want to know more details about the research and their affiliations, but I'm not going to bore you with that. So back to the home page. So let's look up here again. We have the About Us, and now look, a glossary. I love glossaries. All right, from antibodies to viral shedding, ladies and gentlemen, we have lots of terms here with definitions. Look, they're not too long. You can look at, you can get information about terms that you keep hearing in the news, but you're not quite sure what they mean, which is great. The more complex the term, maybe the more space they need to describe it. Herd immunity is a little bit of a complex term, but very clearly stated. Alrighty. So we have a sense of what's going on up here. We've looked at the About Us, we've looked at the glossary. Now let's kind of get to that was sort of the appetizer and dessert maybe of this website. Now we're going to look at the main course. So here are the questions they want to try to answer for you. All right, how does it spread? How is it treated? Who does it affect most? Unbiased information to help you make good decisions. All right, so here we have how do I. These are just kind of practical. How do I safely interact with pets? How do I think about flying on an airplane? All right, let's view all. Here's some questions. How do I correctly use gloves for protection? This is an interesting one. How do I understand physical distance versus isolation versus quarantine, the difference between or among those three terms? Thinking about daycare. And so let's say, how do I safely process groceries? All right. So this is going to have, look how simple. All right. Go back. And some of these, it'll also say when the post was last updated, which I think is important. All right, and now we have news and context, and I think this is really important. No hype here. It's a place where new and noteworthy news stories are going to be discussed in plain language, along with important context that some media outlets neglect to include. So this includes gray areas and some thoughtful discussion. You all, let's look at new evidence. Here we have, is some fancy UV light the solution? So you can see this is last updated on May 17, has the time that it was updated. And most of these articles aren't too long. I love that there's a bottom line down here. There are some links to, let's say, articles. If you wanted to go into that, I'm going to click on this. I may disappear from the page. This happens with the software sometimes. But if you wanted to look, see, look at this. It links right to this article. So you can get to the source of what they're talking about. All right, about UV light. So that's kind of cool. Okay, oops, that's my email. Alrighty, let's go back to COVID Explained. Now we're going to go back to the homepage again. So news and context, how do I, and now getting more in depth. So these are going to be slightly longer articles. They're still trying to keep things simple for you, but let's look at treatment. All right, so we have kids and COVID-19, understanding false positives, vaccines, but I just want, for example, let's look at treatment. This was also updated last on May 17. Okay, it's saying, let's start with what COVID-19 feels like. For a lot of young and healthy folks, it's going to feel like something like halfway between a common cold and the flu. And then it goes on, it says how you treat mild symptoms, when to call the doctor, what happens in the ER. Okay. What if you were admitted to the hospital? Okay, and these are some treatments that might happen for you. Here it's saying some small studies suggest that stomach lying may help. Well, I want to know what those small studies are, so I'm going to click on that. Look, it's taking me to Science Daily. I can look at the small study if I wanted to, if I was a nerd, which I am. All right, go back to COVID Explained. So I really do like this resource for a lot of reasons. There's a couple of kinks, and I'll show you one of them right here. Some of their links don't always work. So here they're linking to something that's within their site, Testing Explainer, and nothing's there. So that's kind of a bummer. However, look, there's Contact Us. It's a form you can fill out. Because I'm a nerd, have I mentioned I'm a nerd? So because I'm a nerd, I might write them and say, hey, you have some links that aren't working. Here they are. Maybe you can fix that. But at any rate, I really appreciate this site in these days of drama and hype and trying to get people all riled up, it seems like, and just lots of news coming from so many different sources. So I found one that's calm and simple, pretty simple to understand. COVID Explained. That is my resource for this week. Stay well. Thank you for being with me today, and I look forward to next week. Bye-bye.